It won't be like you're not a part of Facebook. You're not a part of Facebook.
My name's on the masthead.
You might want to check again.
Oh, if you already know the answers to your questions, then why ask?
What's the most you ever lost on a coin toss?
I like the way you die, boy.
I don't want to be a product of my environment.
Now answer my question. Were you rushing or were you dragging?
My boy's awake at smile.
What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the Film Fixation Podcast. My name's Jaron Allred. I'm joined here by my co-host, Austin Hyatt. And
Hello.
We're going to be changing the pace from last week. We're going to talk about a doozy, which is Beau is Afraid. Just came out today. I just saw it. And Austin, I think you saw it yesterday, you said?
Yeah, I saw it last night.
Yeah, it was... Austin and I both agree it was the weirdest thing we've ever seen brought to film. So it should be exciting. But first, let's talk about film news. Short one today. But Austin, what do you got?
Yeah, basically the biggest news for you and I, one of our favorite up-and-coming actors, Jonathan Majors. It looks pretty bleak for my guy. He got dropped by his PR team and his management team. And I heard a rumor, I'm not sure if this is confirmed, but Disney is looking to recast Kang.
Oh my gosh.
Looks
You
like,
joking?
yeah, I think some other women, yeah, those are rumors. I don't know if anything's confirmed on that, but it sounds like maybe some other women came forward and they're preparing a case against him, and that's why he got dropped. So we'll see. It sucks because, I mean, he was so hot last year and we were all excited for what he was going to do.
Yeah.
And looks like that might not happen anymore.
If you guys have listened to the Creed 3 podcast, you'll know that we really like Jonathan Majors. So that's tough. I thought it was settled that it was kind of a bogus lawsuit, but I don't know. We'll see.
Yeah, we'll see how it plays out.
That'll suck for Marvel, though, if they're going to recast him. They've set this whole structure around him being Kang, and
yeah,
man.
The only positive thing about that is because it's like a multiverse thing, it might be kind of easy to recast him.
Oh, yeah.
I've seen a lot of people wanting like Jonathan Boyega. Is his first name Jonathan?
Yeah, John Boyega.
From Star Wars? Okay. John Boyega.
Probably short for
which I think would be a
Johnson.
pretty good... It might be. He is British, so it could be something whack.
Oh, yeah.
We don't know. But yeah, I just hate to see an American actor get replaced by a British actor, so that might suck. But if he's an abusive guy, then I guess that's okay. I guess that's okay to replace him.
Jeez. All right.
But yeah, so that could be a pretty easy recasting. But yeah, that's no other super exciting film news. We can just hop right into Beau is Afraid.
Right. Marvel can't catch a break, it seems like, but...
No.
All right. So we're going to talk about Beau is Afraid. It is directed by Ari Aster. It is starring Joaquin Phoenix, Patti LuPone, Amy Ryan, Parker Posey, Nathan Lane, and Armin Nahapetian. He's like the younger Beau, I guess. That's a tough list.
Okay.
And the reviews are looking pretty good, looking kind of good. 69% critic score on Rotten Tomatoes and a 72% audience score. So pretty balanced. I thought when I checked just barely, I was like, I bet the critic score is pretty good, but the audience score is probably like low 30s or something,
right.
But pretty good, I guess. 72%.
Yeah.
And then IGN gave it a 9 out of 10. IMDb.
Wow.
Yeah,
Wow.
I know. And then IMDb 7.4. And then Letterboxd, it's sitting at a 3.7 average, which makes sense. I mean, the Letterboxd people, I assume a lot of them are Ari Aster fans, and everybody who's seen the movie already was greatly anticipating it. So I think, I don't know, average might go down a little bit. I don't know. I liked it.
So
I haven't even settled on a score yet. It's definitely at least a 4-star, just because of what I went through watching it.
Yeah.
It's not a 5-star. It's not my favorite. It's my least favorite of his 3 films.
Yeah.
I loved. I don't know. I don't know which one I like better, Hereditary and Midsommar. They're different.
I think for me, Midsommar
Really?
is better than Hereditary. Well, that's tough. I liked it more than Hereditary.
Yeah, Hereditary is terrifying, and I loved that
Yeah.
aspect of it. And it's one of the best like straight horror movies I've ever seen. And it's also deeply irritating and eerie the whole time. But Midsommar is just so creepy, and it's so meticulous, all the little details, and it makes you feel horrible the whole time, and I feel like it affected me a little bit more. So I think Midsommar is probably number 1, and then Hereditary after that. But this is number 3. Really long, 3-hour movie.
Yeah.
I was feeling it a little bit in some parts. I was sitting in the back of the theater. It was cold. Like, I had one of those vents on me. And I saw it by myself, but I checked the theater if anyone was like sitting by me. And there was 3 people, me, myself included, who bought tickets to this movie like 5 minutes before showtime. And then I get in there and there's like 5 people already there. And then there was like 15 of us like towards the end of it.
Oh, really?
Yeah, so they must have snuck in, or I don't know what happened. The guy at the front like checked my ticket, which was in Cedar. They just let you walk in, at my local theater.
Right.
Really, it was dead silent the entire time. I didn't hear anybody talking or anything. And then a girl walked out after a particularly I don't even know a word to describe what happened. It's just a weird part. And
so if you're listening right now, spoilers, of course, we should say that. I mean, if you're coming into these podcasts, you should know you're going to get spoilers.
You probably shouldn't listen to this
I think
before you see the movie.
Right.
You're not going to know what we're talking about or anything.
Because I went in blind, and I'm glad I did.
Yeah.
Because I was looking up showtimes, and it showed me like a 77% rating, and I was like, I didn't want to see that because this was one of my most anticipated movies of the year. And I was like, dude, this is going to be so good.
Yeah.
And so I wanted to go in with that good feeling, So yeah, don't listen to this before you go. I honestly can't recommend the movie to anybody. But like you said, I really liked it.
Yeah.
It was just so strange. But yeah, the part you're talking about, we texted about this.
Yeah.
I think you can say why.
Let's not get into details. When Beau
Okay.
meets his dad. That was the part.
Yes.
If you've seen the movie, you know what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
In the attic.
Which, by
not
the
in
way, that was probably
forest.
my least favorite part.
Oh,
Yeah, in the attic.
Yeah.
That was probably my least favorite part too. Just a little one-off.
Yeah.
Crazy.
But a girl walked out, and then I don't think she came back in. And then I saw her boyfriend like left like a couple minutes later. He like had his phone on. She probably texted him. And then the very end of the movie, they were like standing in the exit aisle, like waiting to get their stuff or something. She like left her stuff, and they came back in to just grab it and then go again. So
how strange.
She was so like disturbed that she couldn't even come back in to grab her stuff and then leave again. So that was so kind of weird. So yeah. What about you? What happened when you saw this movie?
So there were a few people that laughed, at some scenes.
Mm-hmm.
Some scenes were really silly. And this is probably the least serious of Ari Aster's films. Like, of course, I think it's advertised as like a dark comedy. I didn't think it was necessarily funny.
Yeah.
There were some funny parts. I gave it a 4.5 on Letterboxd. I'll probably drop it just a little bit because even today I was thinking, I was like, okay, well, here's my reasoning for a 4.5. It was a crazy movie that was really unfocused. Like there were some plot elements that it's just like, what, you know? And it was meant to be that way. It was meant to be crazy and like to get a glimpse of Beau's paranoia and all that stuff, right?
Yeah.
But even that being said, there were some parts that were just so strange and just so unnecessary where you're like, I don't know if I can justify that. The reason I give it 4 out of 5 stars is because all the performances were so great.
Oh, yeah.
It's one of those movies that just makes you feel so weird while you're like, I love a good movie, and we've talked about this before on the podcast, that like takes you on a journey, you know, where you like feel involved and you feel sick at points, or like Hereditary, we've both described as like feeling that dread that the characters are going through. It just feels awful. You feel gross watching it, you know. And this one, not the same feeling, but you're also on a journey with the characters, and I thought that was great. Like for a director to create an environment like that, like it was so deeply rooted in a world that Ari Aster built. Like even the marketing for it with the MW, the Mona Wasserman or whatever.
Yeah, I thought that was a real company because they showed it in opening credits, and then it came up later, and I was like, oh, that's her company. Right. I was like, whoa, is this? I was like, why would they put their own company who produced this in the film? And then afterwards, I was like, oh yeah, that was her company. So that was really cool.
Yeah,
they did that.
So yeah, just a cool level of immersion, and like this movie just felt like Ari Aster was given full reign to do whatever he wanted, and he created a world, or it felt like he came from a different universe, like a different alternate reality, and made this movie, and it like shouldn't be shown in ours. You know what I mean? Just because it was so weird, and I don't know. Maybe I'm giving it too much credit. Maybe it was just a bad movie, but it was just so strange. The performances were so great, and from a technical standpoint, like every shot was beautiful. The whole like theater and play sequence was awesome. Like I almost fell asleep because that lady's narration voice was so soothing.
It was creepy. It creeped me out.
Yeah,
that voice.
I liked
you liked it.
So.
Okay. It felt a little like satanic to me. Like it reminded me at the end of Hereditary when the grandma like whispers to him. You know what I'm talking about? And it just like,
yes,
I was like, oh, that's that demon king or whatever. Like that's the voice. Like freaked me out a little bit. I don't know, but
yeah, I just like creepy voiceovers, I guess. You know, at the end of The Witch where
yeah, and it's the end of The Witch
Satan.
Too. Yeah.
Yeah. And he's like, what is it that you want or whatever? Like, I love that. That's probably my favorite part. I mean, one of my favorite parts of the movie is just that creepy feeling.
Well, I really like it too. And he does it really well. I'm just saying it doesn't like soothe me. It like, it makes me unnerved, you know?
Right.
But I'm paying attention like super closely to every word, you know, because it just feels like wrong, just the way she's saying it,
right?
You know,
that makes perfect sense.
But yeah, going off of what you said, I agree completely about like the side characters. I feel like everybody's these side characters, like they feel like they have their own story. Like these guys could have came directly out of like a book, you know. I wouldn't be surprised if there was like a Beau is Afraid like book, because these all the different characters that he meets along his quest to get to his mother's house they're so like integral, and you know, like everybody's motivations, and I don't know, they just seem super fleshed out. And I mean, he only is in contact with them for like 45 minutes, you know, and then he moves on to his next area, wherever he wakes up at, you know, he gets hit or something, or but yeah, which side character do you think like was the best or made you the most like unnerved?
I really liked the surgeon.
Okay.
Just because he was such a strange character. Like every time he was just so warm and nice,
Yeah.
but everything that was going on around him was so suspicious and strange that you were like, what is up with this dude? That's another thing I thought of this movie is, like, I don't know if it was intentional, but it felt like a dream the entire time.
Yeah.
Like a nightmare.
I didn't think anything
like
was
those,
real. Like, pretty much. The whole
exactly,
time.
same. I genuinely thought, like, the prescription that his doctor gave him at the beginning was doing all this to him.
Yeah.
And that at the end we were going to, like, see that none of it was real, but we didn't. But the sequence where after he gets hit by the van or the car or whatever, and that whole time he's staying with that family, that felt like I've had that dream before, you know? Like,
Yeah.
where you're in a place that's unfamiliar, you're with these new people, and they're so fleshed out in your dream, even though you've never seen them before in your life, and you need to get to a new destination or you need them to take you home, and, like, something just keeps getting in the way and you can't leave. Like, that's horrible.
Yeah.
And, like, that was just perfectly done. And I think especially the surgeon's character, I don't know his name.
Roger.
But he's played by Roger. Just, he was so positive and nice, and at the same time, just so off-putting and weird. So
Yeah.
that was probably my favorite. What about yours?
And it's funny because Roger and Grace, who's Holly from The Office, they're probably the two most, like, normal characters. But just like you said, there's something just off about them the entire time. Like when she hands him the note that says, like, don't incriminate yourself, I was like, okay.
Yeah.
I didn't really suspect anything from them. Like, they were pretty overbearing and too nice to him. But then when she did that, I was like, okay, something's going on here. And then Roger doesn't want Grace talking to Beau, and they're sedating this veteran who's just, like, trying to come at Beau every 5 seconds. And he's, like, so huge. And but you know who was probably the most grounded character, in my opinion, was the daughter. I don't know her name, but, you know, Grace's and Roger's daughter.
Oh, yes. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Her name was...
It was...
There's no way I'll ever remember.
Tony.
But
Tony.
Tony,
Yeah.
that's right.
But she just... Oh, my gosh. She made me so mad watching it. When...
Yeah.
She, like, can't make up her mind about... She's just pissed that Beau is sleeping in a room. And it's like got K-pop everywhere. And... when she, like, she's just so angsty, and she's mad that her parents are showing Beau, like, this affection, because she's obviously deprived of it because her older brother died, and it seems like they're, instead of, like, showing her more love, they're just replacing the older brother with Beau, which
Right.
it shouldn't make sense, but that's, like, the story that we're in, you know, where nothing didn't make sense, and then that's what we're supposed to believe, that they're adopting him. And when she made that scene in the car where her friend shows up and they force Beau to do the illegal substance or whatever, it made me so mad.
Yeah.
It seemed the most real to me, like,
So
that she could
frustrating.
just do that and record and be like, I'm gonna pull my hair so hard and then say that you did it, and then record it. So evil. And I know something like that just happens, you know?
Yeah.
And watching that, like, I was just so pissed watching that part. And then she's freaking out and drinks the paint and stuff, and then from then on it just got so
for how crazy
unhinged.
Right. For how crazy everything was up until that point. Like her drinking the paint and then dying, and then her mom, Grace, freaking out. I was, like, genuinely shocked. Like, that was the craziest part of the movie for me up until that point, you know?
Yeah.
I don't know why I was so surprised by it, but that just shows, like, how crazy this movie was, that the moment, like, I just didn't expect her to die drinking paint.
Yeah.
And that's how that section of the story would end. And it just really didn't have any rhyme or reason for me, but it was just, it was anxiety inducing. You know what I mean?
Yeah, exactly. I thought they were gonna drive him, and then I don't know, that was gonna be the next part of the story, and then everything just, I guess when I was watching the first half of the movie, or the first like third, I was like, okay, this is about anxiety, like maybe schizophrenia. Is this what it's like? Is this what like the voices tell people to do, or what's gonna happen to them?
Well, that's what I was wondering is like, are all these people outside of his apartment, are they like figments of his imagination?
Mm-hmm.
But then when they actually broke in and like destroyed everything, it seemed like they were real.
Yeah, I still didn't even.
And
We
so,
still don't
yeah.
even know if they were.
Yeah, we have no
Doesn't
idea.
seem like,
We don't know anything. Like,
honestly.
I thought there was going to be this big Truman Show reveal at the end that like, and maybe that's what they were alluding to, when he's in her office, his mom's office, and he's like looking at the different ads and he's taking all the pills and it's like perfectly safe,
Yeah.
I was thinking there was going to be some reveal that like over time these pills effed him up and that's why he sees the world this way, or that like his mom was surveilling him the whole time, which did play out.
Yeah.
But I thought maybe she would have planted those people around him to see how he would act around people.
Well, it's
I don't know.
did you see the poster when he's looking over like that wall, that it's a little neighborhood for recovering addicts?
Yes, yeah.
So I guess maybe it was real. Those guys were all just addicts, but that's so strange. They're all just on this corner,
Yeah.
and then the cop and what happens with that. None of it seemed real
Right.
to me. So
And so I wondered if like if it was a combination of the things, like maybe the pills over his whole life had messed him up, and his mother used him as like a guinea pig to show that her products were safe,
yeah,
and so that's why
what
he
she
was planted
doing
in that
earlier.
neighborhood. Right.
Yeah.
I just thought there was going to be a little bit more exposition on that, or it be made more clear, because by the time the movie ends and she just has that big, like trial for him.
Yeah.
It seemed like all of that storyline that could have been brought to fruition was just kind of thrown out.
Yeah. I feel like
But I don't know. Maybe I just didn't get it.
the whole time I was like thinking, just let me in on something. Like, let me know a sliver of what's
Yeah.
going on and where this is going. And I never got gratified in that sense. And then at the end, when you finally realize what's going on in the trial, I was like, maybe you shouldn't have let me in on what was happening. Like, it felt
Yeah.
a little underwhelming.
Yeah.
Right when it happened and you see like the stadium people, I was like, oh, I remember Ari Aster saying in an interview that that the Truman Show was one of the big inspirations for this movie. He also said Shutter Island, and I can see that as well.
Yeah.
And then Homer's Odyssey, which I guess there's a lot of references to that throughout this movie. I don't remember Homer's Odyssey that well. I read
Well, I
it.
think maybe just like his journey in general.
Yeah, okay. Well, that
Probably.
yeah, makes sense. There's a lot of water. That's probably like a lot of references to water and stuff.
Yeah.
So that might, and then he's on the boat at the very end. So that's probably a reference. I probably missed a lot of symbolism, I mean,
Yeah.
there's probably some stuff that seems like random to us, but I trust Ari Aster so much because he's such a meticulous director, and it's something you don't
Right.
see a lot of nowadays, and I really appreciate that in a director. Like, that's why David Fincher is like my favorite director, because everything in the shot is there for a reason. Nothing's random.
Right.
And Ari Aster is the same way. So
Absolutely.
I want to know the symbolism of what went on in that attic. Hoping
Yeah.
there's some sort of symbolism. I don't know what some things are supposed to represent, but maybe someday I'll figure it out. But
Well, yeah, that's the thing, to your point. Like, because we know Ari Aster and his work, I think that's the only reason this kind of unorganized movie works for me.
mhm.
Like if this was like a Guy Ritchie or a Michael Bay film, and there was all this randomness going on, I would say it's a shitty movie.
Yeah.
But because it's Ari Aster, I'm like, dude, maybe I just don't get what he's trying to say. Like,
Yeah.
you know what I mean? Like, I have enough trust in him as a filmmaker that he's going to do everything right and do it the way he wants to.
Yeah.
That I trust myself less when I don't understand it.
Mm-hmm.
You
Maybe
know?
it's like we really wanted to like this movie, and all of our criticisms to it is like, okay, maybe I just didn't get it, you know?
Right.
If somebody else didn't like it, you know, like any of our friends, you could just say it so easily, like, oh, you just didn't get it, man. It's like
You
the
just didn't get
ultimate
Yeah.
example of when to use that phrase. But nobody got it. I don't feel like, you know?
Yeah. Well, that's the thing. Like, I follow a bunch of pretty prominent reviewers and creators on Letterboxd, and they all gave it like a 2.5 or a 3 stars.
Oh, really?
And I was like, why? Like we're saying, obviously, it wasn't a perfect movie, and maybe it wasn't even a good movie, and it was super confusing and slow, and it dragged at times.
Yeah.
But I was like, I can't believe they're just writing this off like it was some, subpar movie, because it really was a great movie.
Yeah.
Again, in terms of performances and world building and a technical
Storytelling.
standpoint.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I don't know, man.
I feel like the most rational criticism of this movie is that it's just too long. Some sequences you could have shaved off like 5 minutes. Sometimes I feel like Joaquin Phoenix is just reacting to something a little too long, or maybe he's taking too long to walk somewhere or look at stuff, and it drags and you get kind of bored. But the first like hour of this movie, I genuinely really enjoyed it, and I was like hooked. Everything that goes on like outside of his apartment and inside, I thought was super funny, and such a crazy world. Like I'd never felt like been inside something like that, where there's this naked guy who's gonna stab you if you walk too far down the street, or that guy that's just like staring at Beau while he bulges some guy's eyes out like the whole time. And that's when I was like, okay, this is what anxiety is like, because he's just thinking of what's the worst thing that can happen if I go outside my apartment for 2 minutes to get some water. And I guess so. Ari Aster, back in 2011, he had a short film called Beau, and it was basically just the first 20 minutes of this movie, which is he is planning on going to see his mother, but he loses his keys to his apartment, so he locks himself. He stays inside, barricades himself in because he's having like hallucinations and of somebody like breaking in and these like monsters trying to hurt him, I guess. And then he finally leaves the apartment and he realizes that he just made all that stuff up and it was just all in his head. So that was the inspiration for this movie, I guess, and then everything that happens after that. So even knowing that, like, he's had this cooking for over 10 years in his brain.
Exactly.
So I know everything has to be meticulous and has to be for a reason. That's why I'm thinking it's between 4 stars and 4.5. I know I'm going to like see some movie that I gave a 4-star. Be like, okay, that's just stupid that I gave that a 4-star. And this is, Beau is Afraid. It feels like it's on another level. And it's not going to be like a rewatchable movie, probably. It's going to be hard to get through. But the experience, I didn't have a great time, but I was enveloped in the story and I was going to finish it. And I cared. I mean, I don't know. And I was weirded out and grossed out, and I thought some parts were funny, and I don't know.
Yeah.
When the movie ended,
Well,
same
yeah.
thing happened with you, but like nobody was leaving the theater. I was sitting in the very back, and I didn't want to be the first to just get up. I wanted everybody to leave, and then I would make my way out. I got on my phone and just looked at messages for like 5 minutes, and nobody's like moving. Everybody like doesn't know what to do. I didn't want to look anybody in the eyes. I just felt weird about being around other people after seeing that movie, and then it was so bright, and then I didn't know what to do. Like everybody in that theater had a weird experience, and just nobody
Yeah,
knew what to
and
do.
you just lived it with them.
Yeah.
Like that's why I think I gave it a high rating, and why I say I'll probably drop it a little bit is because the experience was something else. Like you said, same thing in my theater. I waited for 5-7 minutes before, and the thing is, I don't know if it was the same in yours, but in mine, as soon as Beau like goes under the water and the boat like kind of stops,
Yeah.
And as soon as it says written and directed by Ari Aster, my lights came up.
Yeah.
It's
Same
just
here.
like kind of a shock. I was like, whoa, that was quick.
Mm-hmm.
And everybody just sat there. Same thing. I sat there and waited, and I kind of wanted to see everybody else's reactions because I was like, does everybody, like, am I just an idiot? Was I just confused and bored by that movie?
Mm-hmm.
Or, like, was everybody kind of shocked by what we just watched? And I don't want it to sound like it's the most shocking, like, visceral movie ever. It's just very strange, you know?
Yeah. That's not underselling.
But yeah, I was the first one to. Right.
You watch this movie and you're gonna realize what we're talking about. I was doing the same
Yeah.
thing, looking at people like I wanted to see somebody chuckle to their friend or something. None of that. Like
Right.
nobody was talking. Most of us were just there by themselves. So it was,
Yeah, exactly. Same with.
Yeah. So it was weird.
So yeah, I was the first one to get up and leave, and I was like trying to look at people's faces as I was leaving, and I think everybody was doing the same thing as me, like checking their phones for reviews or something, just trying to see what the rest of the world was thinking about this movie, because it just was one of those where you're like, was that good? Was that bad? Was that stupid? Was that, I don't know.
Yeah.
So very weird experience.
Definitely. Why don't we get into the categories then?
Let's do categories.
Okay. Favorite part? Let's maybe divide this into like 4 or 5 different sections.
Okay.
So the beginning, where not the birth. Let's not include that.
Which that's a fantastic way to start a movie.
Right?
That was
Yeah,
crazy.
just sets the tone.
Yeah.
I was like, I saw, you see a little glimpse, you hear the heartbeat, and then
Mm-hmm.
I hear like swishing around, and then it's kind of getting more brighter. It's getting brighter. I'm like, he's not gonna start this movie out with a birth, is he? Like from the viewpoint of
Point of view of the baby.
or the baby, yeah. And then I was like, oh, that's exactly what he's doing. So that's cool. And I
Right.
mean, so like, yeah, now everybody knows like what they're in for. So yeah, great way to set the tone.
Yeah, it really was.
Yeah. So I'd say like just Beau at his apartment and the street in front of his house, everything that goes on there, and all those quirky little characters that he has to avoid. Like that guy that he loses his keys because he goes to grab his dental floss for half a second. And that guy who's like the janitor or whatever, the housekeeper, he's like, hey, he's so friendly the whole time. And everybody just seems so out to get him the entire movie. And he's just like, you're just effed. Just no explanation. He's like, why would you say that? So yeah, that was a good part. And then after that, he gets hit by the car. And then everything that happens when he's at Grace and Roger's house, and his encounters with the daughter, and when he's in the car, and everything that goes on with the veteran, Jevs is his name, I think. I don't know if I'm pronouncing it right.
Jeeves, it might have
Jeeves,
been.
yeah.
I think it was Jeeves.
Jeeves, who like if he doesn't have his medication, he's just gonna go off, and he's got extreme PTSD, and he's this huge guy. So yeah, that whole sequence, which I really enjoyed. And then you get into he runs to the forest, and there's that whole production that goes on. In my mind, that part went on a little bit long. The whole theater.
Yes.
I mean, I know we both liked the voice for different reasons, but I don't know. I feel like he's reacting to a little bit of too much stuff, and maybe they're giving too much like detail in that story. Maybe it would have been a little more meaningful if it was more concise, and she's not just dragging it out,
Yeah, and that whole sequence was kind of for no payoff, like at the end he wanders in and finds his sons, his supposed sons.
Yeah.
And it's like a pseudo emotional moment. But like, what purpose did all that serve? It felt like another movie,
Yeah, so I looked it up because I wanted some explanation on that part. It says partway through the film, there's a very dreamlike sequence during the play in the forest. If you're wondering what that's all about, according to Ari Aster, he's under hypnosis when he enters the play because he drinks that tea or whatever, and imagines what might happen if he were more active. If he were a more active agent in his own life, so
well,
stuff could happen to him where he had 3 sons. But yeah, a lot of those little details in the story of the play, I don't know. I feel like just went by my head, was lost. I was like, what is this? Is this for the future? I thought it was like for something that was going to happen later. And then I'm like, oh, wait, it's
right.
This has already happened. And it's leading up to what's going on right now. So that just confused me a little bit. But then I started to get it like the last half of the story right there.
Right.
And then everything gets all weird when Jeeves shows up. So yeah, that part. And then what happens after that? It's
so he
hitchhikes.
Gets home.
Yeah.
Yeah, he hitchhikes off of the street, gets to Wasserton. The funeral's over. He sees his mom's body.
Yeah.
That lady shows up. What's her name?
Parker Posey. It's Elaine, who she's playing.
Elaine.
Yeah.
So Beau kind of goes around the house, sees all this stuff, gives us a little bit more information, and then Elaine shows up, and she's really strange. It's like she doesn't recognize him.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden, she's totally down to just bang him.
Yeah.
And then he's scared to have sex because that's how his dad and his grandpa and his great-grandpa died.
Because they have a heart murmur, or what,
Yes.
So Beau was like a virgin
they-
his whole life because he's afraid that once he climaxes, he's going to die.
Right.
So yeah, we don't have to explain that whole part, but
Well, yeah. But then the mother comes back out of nowhere.
yeah.
And I liked that element a little bit, but then everything after that was just kind of unnecessary.
Yeah.
Like the whole hashing it out, the whole conversation she had, the reveal that, what she revealed. I know we've spoiled the whole movie. I just don't know ever how much to say.
Yeah.
But everybody who's listening to this has hopefully seen it or has no intention of seeing it. But the reveal that the psychiatrist or therapist was working for her.
Mm-hmm.
But even that, yeah, that was my least favorite part of the movie. Like that whole ending, I just felt like that dragged way, way too long.
Yeah, no, definitely.
After his mom comes back into play and then to the end.
Yeah, I thought the same thing. Felt so dreamlike, and then the mom is just so unbearable. I just didn't like looking at her. I've watched a couple movies lately where just the moms are just so horrible, and I can't relate to them at all. I have the most wonderful mom, and watching these I watched Carrie, and I was like, that's the worst mom I've ever seen on film. She's like ginger and making her pray in the closet and doing all these. It just tries to kill her. And like Toni Collette, in Hereditary. She's just
Yeah.
awful and screaming. Yeah. There's like you could list off a bunch of stuff that she does, and then this mom just so overbearing and horrible. It needs to be like a part of every aspect of his life, and I didn't know what to make of their relationship. Like if he liked her when he was a kid, or because when they're on the cruise, like that just the way she's
Yeah.
talking to him, is she's so like powerful and not loving. She's trying, she's trying, but that's not like how you treat a child. And then it just makes sense for how Beau is with all that he went through with his mom, and I can see why he's trying to get away from her. But
Right.
yeah.
And I think that was the whole point of the movie, was that he does have a complicated relationship with his mom. Like that's how the promotional material made it look, was that like his fear of visiting his mom was the perpetual thing that was kind of making all of this come to fruition.
Yeah.
But I just feel like even that, for being the center point of the story, wasn't executed very well, because I don't know, just that whole end sequence of
The reveal
her
of the
talking to
the
Beau
court case or
was-
whatever, I feel like it undermines
Yeah.
everything that
Yeah.
went on a little bit. They should have not
Mm-hmm.
had that at all. It made me like, I don't know, was everybody was just an actor the whole time, which is very like the Truman Show-esque. But I
Right.
feel like it should have just been the mom, like kind of behind everything, and it feels like they're like the point of it was that all these people are actors trying to incriminate him that he was like a bad son.
Mm-hmm.
And then what are the rules of this like trial that's going on? I mean, his lawyer
Yeah.
gets thrown onto a rock,
Gets just killed. Yeah.
and it feels
Yeah.
just like
And
thrown in there. Like his defense lawyer's got like a cheap 801 number at the top of his little podium
Yeah.
that he's on, and his mic's like half as loud as her lawyer.
I don't think he has a mic. He's just yelling across.
Yeah. Just it doesn't make sense. And then I don't know. I feel I need some explanation for what that whole thing was. But I felt like it should have ended when he was just like walking to the boat. That's when it should have ended.
Yes.
Yeah.
Like he kills her, walks to the boat.
Walks to the boat. And then I would have been like unsettled and
Yeah.
then, just left. But then it got confusing,
Well, and alternatively, I do like the idea that something changed in her when she lost her husband and Beau's twin, right? Like,
So did he have a twin? Is that
I
real?
I think so. I think that was, but that's the other thing, is we don't know, right?
Yeah.
Like, I'm pretty sure that was kind of real. But I think something changed in her when that happened, and that's why he keeps having that recurring dream about it. And after that, or maybe after the cruise, because you're right, she did seem like pleasant on the cruise, or that she was trying to be lovey to him.
Mm-hmm.
That she made it like her life's mission to get Beau to prove that he loved her. So I like that aspect. And like as soon as she gets off the phone with him, when he says his flight, he's not going to make his flight.
Yeah.
She's like, okay, well, that's okay. Maybe I'll come visit you, whatever. And then immediately after that, or a little bit later, he calls and she's dead.
Mm-hmm.
Right? I like the idea of her like baiting him to see if he'll come to her funeral. Like that's pretty psychotic and super uber controlling.
Yeah.
So I like that, of baiting him when he thinks she's dead, and then trying to get him to kill her, which he does.
Mm-hmm.
Kills her. And I don't know. I like all of those elements leading to her accusing him of not really loving her.
Yeah.
And using those as evidence. But I just think all of that was kind of executed in a strange way. So.
Yeah. I feel the same. I just, yeah, I don't know what else to add. Just a weird, we both agree, just a weird way to end
Right.
the movie.
So anyway, favorite parts.
I said just the beginning.
I think I
Excluding
think
the
that was
birth.
perfect.
Yeah. think it was great.
Yeah, including the birth.
Okay.
Including the birth for me.
You're right. You're right.
No, but I thought that was perfect.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Favorite part for sure.
Okay, we both agree. Sweet. Least favorite part? I'm gonna go ahead and say the trial, and maybe like the last little bit of the theater, the performance.
Yeah.
I'll say that.
Yeah. I'd say everything after Jeeves blows up the theater.
Mm-hmm.
was
Jeeves, like,
my
I
least
didn't
favorite.
know if he was gonna show up again because he loses him in the forest when he runs into the tree. And I'm like, oh, is that the last we see of Jeeves? Because Grace just told Jeeves to rip him apart, you know? And then he shows up again with his, like, throwing knives or whatever. And that was kind of funny when he first showed up. And then he shows up again at his mom's house. That felt, I mean,
Right.
there's so many issues with that scene.
Yeah.
But
Yeah, that's the least
that's
of the
least
issues.
of my
I'm sure.
worries of that scene. So yeah, okay, sweet. Ideas for a sequel. I say there's no possible way to make a sequel for this movie.
Yeah. No.
And I don't think
Maybe a sequel explaining everything, like
maybe like a
just
prequel.
an hour-long commentary of Ari Aster just saying, "Here's what actually happened in that movie."
Yeah. No, that would be great. I need to see the director's commentary. They don't do that anymore.
Yeah.
Where they release a movie with
I know, it's
it
lame.
sucks, yeah. Is this the greatest movie ever?
No.
No, you
No,
don't think
it's
so?
not. So I think Ari Aster is one of my favorite directors. He's probably like top 10 or top 15 for me.
Yeah.
Right? Would you say?
Yeah, I'd
around
say he's
there?
top 10 for me, for sure.
Yeah. But this is my least favorite film of his.
Yeah.
So,
He's just so up and coming.
put it in
You
that
don't
hierarchy. Yeah.
It's him and like Damien Chazelle and Eggers,
Yeah. Oh my gosh.
Yeah. So we're very excited for the movies that they're going to come out with next. Ari Aster said he might do just a straight comedy next, which I don't really.
I just don't see that happening, dude. I think he's too deranged.
Yeah, don't waste your time on a
I
comedy.
can't see him making a movie that's not
Yeah, that's not completely
exactly.
horrifying and unsettling. Yeah, he should
Right.
definitely stick to maybe like a good thriller, just another psychological thriller. I don't
Mhm.
know. Try to make a better movie than Midsommar, which maybe he never will, but we'll
Yeah.
see. Hereditary is his debut film. Like that's crazy. And then Midsommar,
It's
yeah.
crazy.
So
Well, and for Hereditary, he didn't even want to make that a horror movie. The original script was just like a family drama and them coping with the death of their daughter.
oh really?
But then then like halfway through the script, he changed it to be a horror movie.
Okay.
So that's why I say I just don't think he has it in him to make a normal, not creepy movie.
Yeah.
Like
He's
he tried.
a weird guy. I don't know. I haven't listened to him like at all, but I don't feel like I'd feel safe like in a room alone with that guy or you
Right.
know, after watching his movies. I don't know how he
Well, dude, and
thinks up this stuff, to put into a movie.
that's the thing is like those three directors you just named, Chazelle, Eggers, and Astor.
Mm.
I don't know if I'd want to hang out with any of them. I love their movies,
Not
but they
Chazelle.
all seem like kind of strange. I would love to hang out with him just to like pick his brain,
Yeah.
But I don't think he wouldn't be like us, dude. You know what I mean?
I know, but I mean,
You know what I
obviously,
mean? He's not like one of us.
he's more theater.
Yeah, he's
and,
not
like,
making
loves jazz,
right.
Yeah. But yeah, I definitely loved. I wouldn't want to just like hang out with him, like on a normal.
That's what I'm saying. Is like, hey, Damien, come over. You know?
Yeah.
I don't know if I could ever do that.
That makes sense.
And Robert Eggers is also kind of seems like a creepy dude from
Yeah.
the interviews I see of him.
Well, they can't be perfect. All right. Let's like. Is this the great? This is the greatest like what ever like. Movies about anxiety. Is this a great movie? I mean, the greatest ever. about?
I don't even know, because it's not like realistic in its portrayal of, like mental illness. Maybe it is. Maybe people actually do feel that way, and I'm not sure if that's what it was going for.
Yeah. No way.
I think it's
anxiety can
probably
be that bad. Come on.
I think it's probably, for me, the most like dream-like movie, nightmarish movie. Because I don't know. When you wake up from a dream and you don't know how to describe it, and the way you remember it is different from the way you remember your real memories.
Yeah.
Like, I feel like Ari Aster put that on film, the way that I see my dreams,
Yeah.
So I think it's the best in that vein. I've never seen anything like it.
That makes sense. I guess when you remember a dream or like a memory, every time you remember it after that, you're just remembering the last time you remembered it.
Yeah.
So that kind of explains the bathtub scene or whatever. I don't know, because he didn't know if that was a dream or a memory.
Right.
But yeah, that was confusing. It's the greatest movie ever where the mom fakes her own death and to try to entrap her son. Is that safe?
Yeah.
Safe to say?
Yeah, that's safe.
Okay.
I think that's safe.
All right. What's the best movie this year, would you say? It's pretty early.
Ugh, dude, I don't know. We liked John Wick 4.
Yeah.
I enjoyed Air more than John Wick 4.
Okay.
It's not a better movie.
I'd say John Wick 4.
It's so hard to say. Yeah. It's hard to say because, like, I think, again, just like from a cinematic standpoint and from director's independence standpoint, I think this could be the best movie of the year, in just that it's so well done.
Yeah.
But the story just holds it back, which obviously is integral to any movie, is having a good story.
I'd say, like...
So I can't in good confidence say it's the best movie of the year.
Yeah. I'd say you don't have to see this movie in theaters. It was the most awkward theater experience I've ever had. Just like leaving, nobody knowing what to do or whatever. Almost as bad as the stench, when I saw the movie with Spencer. We didn't even touch on his court case.
Oh, speaking of, we didn't talk about
Active
Spencer.
development.
Sorry, guys, if you've made it this far, maybe we'll have to clip this and put it at the beginning, because I know that's why everybody checks in every week, is just to hear about Spencer. So yeah, Jaron, what's new with this guy? What's been going on in the trial?
So I guess like the killer witness that they had got like thrown out or whatever. Like their testimony was revoked from, like, the jury is not supposed to consider it, I guess, because it was somebody that Spencer worked with who was like kind of showing him like Minecraft like cheat codes and stuff like that. And, some forged, like, there's logs of them like in Minecraft together, like doing like building, and I don't know. So we don't.
Well, we knew it would be Minecraft that kind of threw this case out.
Yeah.
Because
a lot of evidence there, I guess.
So again, we don't want to attach our name to Spencer's. Please pray for him. We hope the best for him and hope he gets help. Hope everything gets cleared up there.
Yeah.
Whether it's legal help or the mental health that we both know he needs. You know what I mean?
Yeah. No, exactly.
Needs some help there. So.
But yeah, what was I saying before that?
Doesn't matter. Let's just end it right there. No, you were saying that it was the most awkward theater experience, and you probably don't need to see it in theaters.
You don't have to see it in theaters. Like, rent it on Amazon Prime or something and just watch it in segments or whatever sometime later. So
yeah, because you could watch it as 4 separate movies, and it would be fine that way.
Yeah, exactly.
I've honestly never walked out of a movie, I don't think, or like stopped a movie halfway because I didn't like it.
Yeah.
But I think if I would have watched this at home, I might have just stopped it and been like, man, I gotta come back to that later. I can't.
Yeah.
So
me too.
In that aspect, I'd say you might want to see it in theaters just to get through it, because I don't think I'll ever watch this again.
You don't think so?
Maybe I will. I might watch it again just because I want to understand it more.
Yeah.
But I really don't think a second viewing would do that much for me. I'd have to watch like some of Ari Aster's commentary and some YouTube videos explaining it before I can watch it again.
Maybe
You know
like
what I
his next film that comes out, I'll like binge his first 3 movies or something, like in prep.
mean? Right.
You know, like I thought about watching Hereditary or Midsommar before this, but I just didn't get around to it. But yeah, who's the most literally me character in this movie? This is hard.
That's probably Tony because she kills herself. I'm just kidding. Let's
Is it Tony?
It's Tony. Maybe Tony because she's really into K-pop. I'm kind of into K-pop now.
Yeah. She's really angsty. I mean, we're kind of past that.
Right.
But I don't know.
Yeah, we're done
I
with
don't
that.
really relate.
No, maybe the surgeon guy, Roger. Yeah, maybe Jeeves because he wants to. Yeah. No, maybe Roger just because. Like I loved every time he walked in the door. He was like, "What's up, my man? What's up, my brother?"
Yeah.
Like, "Hey, my dude, you're not gonna be okay," you know.
Mm-hmm.
Like he was just kind of a cringy guy that's trying to be personable, and I feel like maybe that's who I am.
Yeah. No, I agree.
Yeah.
I don't really have anything. Maybe just you can somebody maybe I hope you don't, but relate to Beau with his anxiety a little bit.
Yeah.
But yeah, I couldn't say. What about Bill Hader's in this movie? Did you catch him?
Yeah, as the UPS guy.
Yeah.
He had his back turned,
I know.
and I was like,
But I
"Is
knew that
Bill
was
Hader?"
him. Yeah. But on the
really?
phone, I didn't catch it on the phone that it was him talking.
Yeah, neither did
It
I.
didn't really sound like him, so I don't know. But yeah, not really a good one for this movie. Why would this film get canceled today? Loads of things.
Yeah, just tons of reasons. I don't know.
Just everything that goes on in the attic. I'll say that. I feel like that was the moment that kind of just ruined the film for me. Like, dropped it like a half a star. I'd say like, oh, why does it have to be that? Why couldn't it have been something like profound or, you know,
Exactly.
It was just more absurd than anything.
Yeah, it felt like up until that point, I was trying to understand. Like, again, I was discrediting my own knowledge, and I was like, well, maybe I just don't understand it well enough.
Yeah.
But at that point, I was like, maybe none of this is supposed to be profound. Maybe Ari Aster is just making fun of me.
No, that's exactly what I was about to say. Maybe he's just making fun of me for paying such close attention this whole time. I was looking at like everything in the camera angles. Like, I was wondering with like at Roger and Grace's house, like with the coffee mugs, I was like, what does that letter mean? Or like, what's on the walls, you know? And I'm sure it had.
And for good reason, because. Oh,
No,
sorry.
no,
Go ahead. Finish your thought. I was just gonna say, like in his previous 2 films, like in Hereditary, you have to take in the whole shot because there's a lot of, spoiler alert if you haven't seen Hereditary, there's a lot of creepy things in the background all the time.
Yeah.
And some of the like scariest parts are when she's like levitating through the air or on the wall. And also in Midsummer, like there's a bunch of little breadcrumbs laid throughout the whole movie.
Yeah.
Like they see the bear right from the beginning when they get to the camp, and then that plays like an integral part in the end. So of course, if we're familiar with Ari Aster, we're gonna be looking for every detail.
And in Midsommar, there's that
and for
painting
something like that to come up,
that literally shows out the entire story,
tells the whole story
chronologically. So
yeah,
I was paying attention to
And
stuff like that.
he did that a little bit with the TV at Grace's house. You do see the rest of the movie to the end of the movie, but it just wasn't done in the same way.
Yeah. And it was hard to pick up on. But yeah, in that moment I was like, was this all just for nothing, like you don't care that I really cared about this. So yeah, why would it get canceled? I don't know. It says the FAGGOT word. Nothing
Yeah,
else. Just-
I can't. I mean, it was just way over the top. I can't think of anything.
Yeah.
Everything
You're just
would
gonna
have gotten this
cancel,
movie
yeah,
canceled. I'm
everything.
glad it was made, but
no specific reason. Just the movie as a whole might just get
Yeah.
canceled. And then I looked up a couple facts about the production. Okay. So in the photo mosaic of Mona, which is the mom that he's looking at in her house, you'll see that it is made up of employee photos, and inside you can see, obviously, you see Parker Posey, Elaine, her character, but Roger is also one of the employees that works for her. So he was in on it. UPS guy is played by Bill Hader. Some people might not have picked up on that one. And then I mentioned this earlier, water plays a huge role, which is a nod to the influence of Homer's Odyssey in the film. And behind the production, Grace, who is played by Amy Ryan, going into it, she thought Joaquin Phoenix is like a huge character actor. And she's never been in a movie like this big and monumental, you know. But she was expecting him to be in character, like she was going to have to refer to him as Beau, like the whole time. But he said he was super lighthearted and friendly and was like making everybody laugh between takes. And she could obviously call him Joaquin. And he was a super nice guy on set, which Joaquin Phoenix, like there's this whole mystery about him, you know, like he doesn't do interviews. He didn't do a single interview for this movie. And you don't know what's going on with him. He seems really kind of socially awkward, and this character just fits him really well. Like he just plays it really well. And
yeah.
so yeah, it was nice to know that he's actually more of a nice guy in person. And I don't know. So yeah, that's one thing. And then he also did all of his own stunts, which is surprising because he does quite a few things.
Wow.
He jumps through that window. That was actually him. He falls out of the attic, which he also did. And then when he's in the bathtub and that guy falls on top of him and they're like wrestling, you can tell that was actually him.
Which,
There's
yeah.
a lot of twirling around in there. That was like a little bit
we saw
unnecessarily
a lot.
long, you know, to figure out how to
Yeah.
get out of the tub. But that took a whole day to record, I guess, that scene, which is unfortunate and must not have been very fun.
Yeah, for anybody.
Yeah, and then I mentioned this earlier also, but Aster came up with the idea for Beau's Afraid nearly a decade ago, before Hereditary, with his short film called Beau. And then he also, Ari Aster said, if you're wondering what the central idea of the movie is, according to Aster, it is to convey life through the eyes of a protagonist whose development has been arrested. So it gives us a little bit of insight as to what was going on. He's just not.
Yeah.
He can't make any progress. You know, he can't go anywhere because of his anxiety, and everybody's just like out to get him. So,
Right.
which, you know, we knew. I wanted a little bit more insight than that, but and then I said
Well, yeah.
the theater sequence was he was under hypnosis and he was imagining what his life would be like if he was a more active agent in it. So
Yeah, so that makes more sense because I didn't even.
yeah, I didn't know what that was all about either, but so yeah, that's it. That's everything.
Yeah. So we can't recommend this movie. I mean, it was a good movie. I'm gonna lower it from 4.5 down to 4. I think.
Yeah.
Stars on Letterboxd because I got peer pressured. Just kidding. Just talking about it has kind of made me realize, yeah, maybe it wasn't all
I'm
that
thinking 4.5.
great. But okay, maybe I'm gonna keep it at whatever Jaren's gonna rate it. I'll rate it that. Just kidding. I might stew on it for a day, but this is kind of making me feel 4.
Yeah.
But I love Joaquin Phoenix, dude. Like this year, I've watched a ton of his films, and he's just such a great actor. Like in The Master and in Her. And of course, Joker has been a great movie. That's a great performance by him, of course. You just can't count him out. And I think he made this movie a million times better, even though for half of it he's just reacting and acting scared.
Yeah.
You
Who
know?
else could have played this role? I don't know. Like Leo? I don't know. That's like my first suggestion
nah,
for
dude.
everybody, but he wouldn't have been as good.
Yeah.
I don't think.
No. Maybe Brad Pitt?
No.
No, yeah, I really don't think, because that's where Joaquin Phoenix like excels, is in the socially awkward, weird frickin' dude.
Yeah.
Like in those movies I just listed.
Yeah.
The Master,
Especially.
he's this guy that like makes his own drugs and is off his rocker all the time and is so strange. And in Her, he's just a socially awkward, sad dude.
Mm-hmm.
Like Joaquin can play those roles so well. So
Yeah.
yeah, I can't think of anybody else that could have done it like that.
No, it could only been him.
Timothy Chalamet.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Well, you can do anything.
No,
Um,
you can. So
what?
wouldn't that be Holly? What is her name? The what's her face from The Office?
Yeah, Holly Flax or Grace, Amy
Yeah.
Ryan.
Grace.
Yeah.
Amy Ryan. There we go. I was looking for her real name. That's my bad. Wasn't she in Beautiful Boy?
Yeah, she was
With Timothy. That would have been some good chemistry there for a second.
Yeah, I guess so.
But that's just a joke. I just no. Joaquin Phoenix is the
Steve
only guy.
Carell could have played the dad. He could have. I'd say.
Yeah, that would have been great. That would have made me feel even less sure of myself. I would have been like, wow, this really is just Ari Aster making fun of me by
Yeah.
like trying to make this a dream. But the guy that did play Roger, do you know what else he's in? Because I know he's in Modern Family and he plays a really funny character in that.
Mm-hmm.
And he's in my favorite docuseries, The People vs. O.J. Simpson.
Oh yeah.
But I don't know if he's in any other movies.
No, he seems familiar. I don't know. He sounds like a voice actor. Like he's probably voiced some famous Disney
Yeah.
character. But
Well, yeah, I just thought it was funny that they were both characters on wildly popular American comedy shows,
yeah,
and they were cast to play this like weird couple that is meant to make you feel safe, but you know something's off.
Yeah.
So I thought that was great casting too.
that was. Yeah, he's
And I think even oh, sorry.
well, I was just saying that he was pretty adamant that this was a comedy, not a horror. It was a dark comedy
Right.
movie. So
Right.
that was probably really meticulous casting, getting those two to come on for it.
Yeah, that makes sense.
But yeah.
Yeah, that's all great casting. I think his mom was also good casting because she was just really easy to hate.
Mm-hmm.
So
Yeah, I definitely hated her. So, all right, let's send it. That was good. Next week, I don't even know what's coming out. No. Let's do Return of the Jedi. It's coming back to theaters. Think we could do that
yeah, I think it's coming back on the 28th. So
Friday.
that's a week from today. I guess we could, let's just record on Friday again, I guess.
Okay, cool.
Maybe. Hopefully it's in theaters near us because
Yeah, I'll be in town. So
we had a hard time even seeing these. Oh, okay, cool.
Yeah.
We can just go up here then. But yeah, Jaron and I had a hard time finding Beau is Afraid at our local theaters.
Yeah.
We both had to drive somewhere else to see it. So
Yeah.
whatever's up with that.
I had to drive
hopefully
an
you don't run
hour
into that.
to go see this movie. So
Yeah. So
it
weird.
was weird. I don't know
Anyway,
why that was, but yeah. All right. Thank you for fixating on film
on film
with us.